Good day, everyone. We'll be starting momentarily. We're right at the top of the hour. People are still coming in to the session. So let's just give it a couple more. Let's just give it another minute, not too long. And then we have a full packed session for you today. And we'll get going. So just give us like maybe 1 minute while people arrive. One. Okay, Alistair, I think we're in good shape here. I'm sure people will be coming in as we start, but we're just going to do a little slow start here. Nothing wrong with that, of course. Looks like we have a few folks that joined us today. This is excellent news. Appreciate that, everyone. And if you want, why don't we just kind of kick it off then, right?
Yep, sure. Thanks, Brian.
Good. So yes, good day, everyone, and thank you for attending this webinar. Today, we're going to be introducing the Fastman Management Suite for Extended ECM. And it's a comprehensive collection of products bundled together and designed essentially to empower users and system administrators with essential tools for efficient content management. I'm Brian Lapointe. I'm Vice President of Sales at Fastman, and I'm pleased to be joined by Alistair Grigg. Alistair is a highly skilled ECM consultant, and he's also Fastman's Managing Director. And myself, Alistair, we've been working in the OpenText ecosystem for many, many years, and we're pleased to be sharing best practices to the community today. So, Alistair, maybe say hello. I think you already have, but feel free to say hello.
Oh no, thanks, Brian. Welcome everybody. Looking forward to a very interesting session today.
Good. So yeah, we're getting some people coming in. That's always a nice thing. So without further ado, maybe we can get started. And the first thing I usually like to start this with, we do have a little audience out there today. If you don't mind, let's just do a couple of polls. I've loaded them into the GoToWebinar system here. And so you'll see the screen transition here, but we're going to do just a couple polls just to kind of level set today's meeting. So which one do I want to start with? Here we go. We'll take this one here. And launch. Is the poll up, Alistair? Can you see it?
It is, Brian. I see it. Very nice.
Oh, okay, good. So I'm starting to see some of the results come in. Yep. So I don't know if you guys actually see them, but I'll report them. So is your extended ECM system, also known as Content Suite, also known as Content Server, is it in the cloud? 75% are talking on-prem, 25%. So somebody's in the OpenText cloud. Okay, that's good to know. So, and then I had listed one other, if you had it in your own private cloud or another cloud directly from AWS or Azure or GCP. So the results are pretty firm, 75% on-prem, 25 shifted a little bit. Now it's 80-20. So that's good. Let's close that. And I got another question. Well, what version of, let me launch it here, but it's basically asking what version of extended ECM you want. And I kind of put it into 3 buckets, the latest and greatest, 23, 24.x, maybe just a little bit before that at 21 and 22. And then I had like 16.2 and 20 were kind of the, as we all know, extended ECM goes way, way back, but I just figured I'd put it into these 3 buckets. So
pretty cool, 50% on the latest versions, Brian.
Yep, 50% in the year 23, 24. That's great to know. It's been a lot of good improvements, to quite frankly. So I think it encourages that. And then it's pretty well split. Now, yeah, 60% on the latest, and then 20 and 20 on the other two versions is what we're seeing. Okay, I'll close that. Good answers. I like this one. I'd like to know if you've integrated it with any lead application. Are you running any extended ECM integrations? The popular ones from OpenText, as we know, are extended ECM for SAP, or SSF is SuccessFactors, SFDC is Salesforce.com, or maybe you're just doing it with Microsoft, M365, and so forth, right? So those are the popular extended ECM ones out of the box. The other ones are, engineering, or maybe you got an asset management system like Maximo, or none. So it's a 50-50 split. So these things keep changing. So it looks like I got 40% on the traditional extended ECM for SAP, 20% saying engineering, and then 40% saying they're just running extended ECM on its own. Nice. One last question, kind of relevant to today's discussions, or just in general. Let me launch it right here. Have you moved to a business workspace design? Typically, you see business workspaces and extended ECM integrated systems. Are you using them? So the question really is, have you deployed that? Maybe even if you're just using it in a specific area for certain types of content. I'm kind of curious, as opposed to just running a straight up file folder structure, the traditional way you might see document management or extended ECM. So most of the it looks like a 60-40 split, where 60 are using business workspaces today. So they're probably meaning they're familiar. Okay, the results have shifted a little bit. 50% are using it. 33% are looking and planning on going to it, it looks like. And 17% are saying no, which I assume is using just the ECM system out of the box, folder structures, and so forth like that, which is everything all good, but just kind of curious how people are using things. And so those are our polls for today. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I appreciate that. That's helpful for us to let us know where you are and how you're using your extended ECM system. And we got a lot to talk about today, Alistair. So how about I just kind of hand this off to you, and you kind of off for us today, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So welcome everybody. So today we're going to talk about the Fastman management suite, and some of you might have seen some of the mail that's gone out recently, or the updates that have gone out recently about it. And to some extent, it's a branding exercise, but it's actually been a term. It's an umbrella offering that we have, encompassing a number of products that we've developed over a long period of time. And as Brian moves to the next slide, you'll see all the different products that we've got under the Fastman management suite. The concept being, and the idea being, that these products that we've got, this suite of our products actually works together and complements each other across your organization, enabling you to operate your systems more effectively. Do simple things like move data in and out of the environment, to manage access control, move data around in a controlled fashion. Over the years, we've been asked, for example, people have bought our BDM product, our bulk data manager product, have asked us, well, why doesn't it do permissions? And the reality is that we've got the best permissions management product in the market, Permissions Manager. So why would we build that into another product? Better to integrate them and provide them as a suite of products that can be used together and alongside each other. So what we've done is we've built integration points, or points where they can work together, rather than to duplicate functionality and make it more confusing for people to use the different products. So each one of the products in the suite is designed to do a specific task, but they're designed to complement each other and work together. So that's what we're going to do today. Brian's going to run through these various products, give you an overview of what they are and how they work with the other products, and how together they form a very comprehensive suite of management tools that you can use on your extended ECM or traditional content suite environment. And as Brian said at the start, these products are built to work both in a pure OpenText environment or with leading application like SAP or SuccessFactors or Salesforce. So we'll see that as we go through. Over to you, Brian.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a quick customer slide here. Many of the best, just to remind you, many of the best run extended ECM customers use Fastman products today. So you'll be in good company if either existing customers here today thank you for your business or people considering it. We've got a lot of great customers to talk to if you need any best tips or tricks from them. The customers are located worldwide, and we're able to support the business as needed in the various regions well. And they're very horizontally focused, our customers, and because they're all looking to simplify, essentially the same ECM challenges. But there is a trend. We do follow the vertical trends of OpenText with a strong footprint in banking. There's a lot of utilities and energy companies, transports, and of course, public sector customers. So a lot of people in the public sector. So we're very pleased to have such a robust and prestigious customer base. All right, Alistair, thank you again for the introduction. That sets the stage well for me to kind of kick things off here. And next up, let's briefly transition and talk about kind of the first part of the management suite that we'll talk about here. And we'll talk about how permissions and access coexist within extended ECM platform. Some of you may have seen us using this diagram in past presentations to describe this relationship. In Content Server, you have rich permissions at the item level, and then you have controllable access to functions and object and usage privileges for features that tie it all together. And it's really these three areas of the triangle that you have to control your security model, right? And so what we like to just kind of emphasize is that Fastman solutions are used to simplify where you see the red circles, right? Where permissions manager, which is well known in the community, is used to control what a user, a group, or a role can do at the item level, okay? Versus the Fastman access manager, it works at the functional level. And it works at the functional level regardless of data or feature or state. And some of the problems that we kind of solve, just to kind of what kind of things. Some of it's interesting. Some problems it solves is can you find and resolve public access being enabled randomly across multiple locations? These are the types of questions that come at us, right? Obviously, yes, using permissions manager. Or we have read-only licenses deployed, but we have no controls in place to control them as read-only. How can I handle that? Or permissions we have people that come to us where permissions have been changed accidentally, and we have no way of undoing that. There's no undo button or something like that. Can you help us with that? Or we need to make mass changes to specific folders in multiple existing workspaces. We have a complex situation, and we're looking for tools in an out-of-the-box way to achieve that, fast. These are the types of things we get involved with. So we mentioned it already. One of our flagship solutions in the suite, it's historically been Permissions Manager, right? So why do customers need Permissions Manager? Because it's a proven out-of-the-box solution to, one, quickly see what level of permissions are in place. Two, it lets you make bulk changes to permissions and access quickly. And three, it effectively manages the system and associated risk according to your security policy. Okay, a quick preview of Permissions Manager starts at the dashboard view where you can easily browse your folder structure, drill down. From here, you can filter and show effective permissions of a user and make bulk changes to your security model. Without Permissions Manager, it's a lot of work and clicks to make these changes, or it's custom development, or it's web reports. Okay, nothing wrong with these other approaches. They're just a little bit complex. Without getting into every feature and functionality, Permissions Manager is a very mature application. It sits directly inside Extended ECM, and it enables self-service for your business owners and your system administrators without the need for development by an SI or creation of complex web reports. By the way, on this webinar, we have a chat panel. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat. We love interactive questions. Thinking of questions for Permissions Manager, people come to me, a few questions I typically ask I will ask a prospective customer is understanding permissions an issue for your organization? Is that ever a challenge? Or is your content server support team overloaded with requests from end users to change or update their permissions? Or how about, do you know exactly what an individual user or group is able to see or do in your extended ECM system? If any of these questions resonate with you, Permissions Manager is a solution for you to take a look at. Coming soon. Okay, here's a little preview. Coming soon to Permissions Manager, we're adding valuable new functionality. You'll be able to grant specific access to users and groups that expires. We call this time-based access. Many customers of extended ECM have a need to manage temporary users in their systems to share the content. They could be engineering contractors working on a design project, or maybe tax consultants involved in an audit, or even a legal hold situation would be another scenario I can think of. The nice thing about this approach is the existing Permissions Manager functionality enhances the time-based access solution. You'll be able to see the time-based access directly from Permissions Manager dashboard, and it will show up in your search or in your effective permissions filtering. And so it'll be a nice integrated solution for you to manage this capability on the platform. Later this summer, we'll be previewing the functionality, so keep a lookout for that. And if you have any interesting business use cases for time-based access, please share with us. And because what we're doing is creating a library of different scenarios. It'll be helpful for the community.
Probably one of the most requested features, Brian.
I get a lot of questions on it. Yes, I agree. Glad to see I have a couple of transitions in my slides working. That looks good. So next up, I got another solution in the management suite, Permissions Manager for Outlook, very popular, used through a few of our customers. And basically, have you ever wanted to send document links to your colleagues from Content Server or Extended ECM? How do you know if your email recipients have access to the documents or the links? The answer is you don't, or it's really hard to find out, right? So Fastman Permissions Manager for Outlook lets you validate if your recipients have C and C content rights in Content Server. It's a very smart and useful add-on for Outlook, and permissions are granted by group, role, and direct access are all considered in the solution too. From my point of view, I find when you can share content freely using document links, it makes your extended ECM system just that much more valuable for everybody in the organization. So that's PMO, as we like to call it. Okay, let's move on to Access Manager. And in a few seconds or a few minutes, I'm going to actually give a quick demonstration of a few of these scenarios here. So we'll have a live demonstration. But moving on to Access Manager, it solves a problem with extended ECM, and it lets you deny specific functions by rule. For example, you can create a rule that enforces read-only access assigned to a specific group of users. It also lets you configure what we call blacklist rules, denying defined functions based on a business scenario. This will let you eliminate any backdoors in your, let's say, in your controlled business process you may have in extended ECM, and it'll also help you increase security and control on your extended ECM platform. And so, by the way, it does this using a configurable profile concept that we have. You can control specific functions by group, location, classification, and category. Plus, you can have multiple rules. So when you tie this all together, configure it in a profile, you can build out a scenario. Things like you could set up your contractors, say you have contractors to come in and you want them to have a limited view, not just kind of shield them, but actually completely block them, and essentially block them from seeing any kind of sensitive information that may be found in the categories or your classifications or your audit view, and you can do this globally for them. So you can block menu items and so forth, functions, from there, regardless of what their permissions are. Or you have, I think I mentioned a controlled document process, and you need to limit the functions that are available to people in the different stages of the controlled document lifecycle, regardless of, again, the permissions they may have. Another one that comes up is the concept, many people have fixed folder structures within their extended ECM system, and they want to limit, a basic thing is just limit the ability to create subfolders within that defined structure. So you could have a policy or a rule that in that location of a folder structure, you can't create any more subfolders, so that everything stays within the taxonomy that you've designed and want people to use. And then another one, just to give you another idea, this one comes up quite a bit. If you want to keep your users in a specific extended ECM interface, you can block all the classic UI or all the smart UI functions with an access manager profile, so you can keep them in one environment or the other based on the scenario you're in. So I talk with a lot of different customers, and everybody's seems to be in a different phase or stage of how they're using the platform. So with that said, let me give you a quick, Alice, I'm going to do a quick demonstration. Let me see if I can pull some stuff up right here.
And just on that that last example you gave, Brian, while you're doing that, one of the good things about that, the classic control, is you can do it on specific content. So you could say, when users are in a certain process or in a certain part of your system, they have to use the classic. Or when they move across to another part of the system that you're converted across to use workspaces in the smart UI, for example, you can enforce that behavior without having to write new code yourself. You can just use the profiles on Access Manager, and it's a horizontal tool, so it's not designed to specifically. We don't build it to get against specific business use cases. We provide you with the tools to be able to meet each changing requirement as they come and go without having to write code. So sorry, Brian, I just thought it was an extra point.
No, it gave me a couple seconds to get things kind of loaded here. So I got my web browser up here. I'm sharing right now. So right now you can see Salesforce.com, extended ECM for Salesforce running. You see the Smart UI widget right here. So this is basically a folder structure out of Content Suite. I'll come back to that later. I'm going to do a data transformation with this later, where I'll load content into a business workspace. But right now, let's talk about permissions and access a little bit. So I have a scenario with Access Manager. You can see today I'm logged in currently. So Classic is quicker for the demonstrations today, so I'm just going to focus here. But I'll come into Access Manager. I got some demos here. Here are all my profile scenarios that I've created right here. So for Access Manager, I got one I want to just talk about today under my whitelist profile. And the whole concept of that contractor coming in, I configured a rule right here. Here's my rule right here. I'll pull up like a configurable rule. So basically, we can block metadata for contractors, is what we call it, right? We have it enabled right now, nice and quick. It's assigned to a specific group. So if you have contractors that come in, this is like an example of what you can do. So you can assign what functionality this group can have access to. And here are all the different functions that are available that we're allowing them to have access to. Okay, and then we have a custom error message here too. So if they actually try to do something they're not allowed to do, they get an error message so they know what's going on. So right now I'm logged in as the administrator on the system. Let me just quickly log out and log in as the contractor. Get rid of my Nortons. So I'm logging in as the contractor. We'll be in a second here. Okay, so down below, you see me, I'm the contractor right now. Go back to my Access Manager examples. I think I was in this one right here. Okay. So I have a test up. So the idea is I want to share content with these contractors, but I don't want them to see everything behind the scenes or anything that might be considered confidential, right? So some of the properties, here's an example with the properties where we're blocking. I can come in, they could get, maybe in this scenario, it'll allow them to see the general properties, right, within Content Suite. And whether you're in Classic or Smart UI, this is going to work the same way. But when it comes to things like the category, if I click on category right now, as a contractor, they're going to get an error message, regardless of what their permissions setting was. So what I probably should have showed you first is, as a contractor, at this point, if I was to come in and look, I can run permissions manager right here. So right now in this folder structure, here's the high level. Here are the documents right now. You can see that I actually have, looks like I have modified, but let me just even filter on the contractor. And you can see the contractor has modify and edit rights, right? And you can see they're getting it from a group. So permissions manager is showing what my effective permissions are right now. So I, as a contractor, I'm inheriting it from these groups. And so the point is, I have access via my permissions, but if I wanted to go and again, access something that the access management tool is blocking, it won't allow me to do that.
In fact, I think, Brian, there's no way of you controlling that through permissions anyway. It's a all or nothing.
So, it is all, right.
Yep. Which is one of the other problems that we have with permissions control of functions like this, is that you cannot control, permissions are really a roll up of the different functions that exist on objects. So you can't control individual actions like that or individual functions like that through permissions, which is where it came from originally, as Brian mentioned before. And it's a good example of the two products working together hand in hand, forming related but complementary functions or purposes.
And then when you get the error message, here's your custom error message, and then it even tells you what functions being blocked. So if someone needed to report that back to you, it gives you enough information to handle that report back. And while I'm in here, what I like to do is, let's see here. One more demonstration is the permission manager for Outlook. So let's say I wanted, so we talked about permissions manager for Outlook earlier. So let's say I want to send a couple links, to my colleagues. So I want to send this to Alistair. And then maybe someone outside, with a different email address, let's say right now. We have an add-on called Permissions Manager for Outlook that'll check to see if you have the rights to send the documents. So I could validate right now. Oh, I got to log back in.
It's normally single sign-on, just so everyone knows. You don't have to do this normally. The demo system's not set up that way.
It's a demo.
Yeah. There's got to be a glitch somewhere along the line, Brian. There we go.
There you go. So you can see for Alistair, he has access because it's green, right? Here are the documents. Here's some actions if you want. But for myself, you can see that I don't have, this other person, B. Lapointe at Yahoo, which is not a user on the system, doesn't have access. So before you send, you can determine that, and then you can make, decide whether the next action you want to take. Do I need to go back and request it? I need to send these out. How do I need to send them? You can fix the scenario as you need to at this point. But this is the use case for permissions manager for Outlook.
Yeah, it works pretty well, and it comes from organisations that start off with the premise that they don't want to lose control of their critical doc content.
Good. All right.
And if you combine it with the Access Manager and restrict the ability for people to be able to download, for example, then effectively you can control the distribution of your documents. If the only way they can see a document or to view is to maybe view it in the browser, something like that, but you can still send a link, then you have effectively controlled distribution, or in a lot of ways you control distribution at many levels, which is good.
Yeah. So so these are all the different solutions that are in the Fastman Management Suite. The first part related to permissions and access. now what we're going to do is transition. We're at, looks like we're at 8:30 right now, so we're doing pretty good on time. But we'll talk a little more about the data transformation side of the Fastman management suite, if you would allow me to. And feel free to ask any questions in the chat. Love to have some questions. But next up, like I said, data transformation for extended ECM. With extended ECM deployments, it's important to have tools that'll help you normalize metadata to meet your business processes, or consolidate content from a variety of systems, system locations to a managed ECM like extended ECM. And you may have transactional process-driven scenarios for your content too, right? Well, Fastman provides a suite of tools for bulk metadata updates, content migrations, and business process orchestration within extended ECM, okay? Additionally, the Fastman management suite will help you transition to a business workspace design from that traditional file folders that you've been using too. That's why I asked the question about that, how many people are using business workspaces today, because these tools lend themselves well to that scenario. So what I like to say here is having the ability to transform your data is critical to maintaining its information integrity. This is where solutions that let you essentially load taxonomies and bulk update metadata on existing content have a high impact. This will improve the usability of your extended ECM platform. And what it does, again, it gives you more self-service to these tools. And so we offer several solutions within our data transformation family of the management suite. For example, being able to deploy a client application to your document controllers that enables them to make the changes they need, really has a high impact for them. Gone away is that back and forth with an IT developer using an Excel spreadsheet, or there's no scripting required with these tools, and it's been built, and it has its own, essentially, as you can see from the screenshot there, built-in spreadsheet to make those metadata changes that you want when you want to make bulk updates. Our bridge connector comes in handy when you need to manage moves of content to another location within your extended ECM platform. And you can see from here, it's driven from a dashboard, and you're able to monitor the steps and ensure quality control in the process involving multiple people and jobs. And then lastly is the extract tool, which ensures you can get your data out in a shareable format with a collaborative system. And this also brings you peace of mind if you move into a cloud-based system, that you're able to get your information out and share it with different systems as you need to in a format that's useful. So being able to load it, update it, orchestrate it, extract it, transform it, that's what these tools are all about at this point. So let's just look closer, and I'll have a demonstration of this in a moment, but the Fastman Bulk Data Manager is our flagship solution in this data transformation space. Very popular. It has a low deployment footprint that introduces more self-service to you, the customer, and it's essentially a client application that works with the OT cloud or an on-premise deployed extended ECM system. Yes, it works with the OT cloud. IT administrators prefer it because they can safely deploy a migration tool to their business users to complete the job, rather than themselves being directly involved in that day-to-day transformation or migration. Customers use it to update their metadata on existing content, and they also use it to load taxonomies from places like shared drives, or even SharePoint or Box, using box.com, any kind of map drive, and you can load that content into extended ECM. In the OpenText world, it fits between what Object Imported does for you, or on a larger side, there's a Magellan Integration Center. From a licensing perspective, it's priced by production instance with no user or transaction limits either. You authenticate to BDM using your content server credentials, so it respects your security model nicely too. So since the solution simplifies getting content into extended ECM, it will also drive more user adoption. And like I said, if you're considering moving to the OT cloud, this is a great fit. Many of our customers like that part of Bulk Data Manager, that it works very well with cloud-based deployments. So we are doing pretty good on time. And so I'm going to take a little bit of time just to give a quick case study. And then I got a little demonstration of Bulk Data Manager, how we can load into some business workspaces. And then we'll take some questions at the end probably. But let me just talk a little bit about Sonoma County Public Utility District, customer of Fastman for a long time. And this is an example where they started using BDM. They started using the Bulk Data Manager in an on-premise deployment. And they're able to continue using it with their OpenText cloud deployment today. The primary use case for them was load taxonomy to bring in department file shares. So think of many different departments, different users, and so forth, and scenarios. They needed a tool to kind of consolidate. They began their journey with the on-premise extended ECM platform, primarily for records management use case. And like many extended ECM users, their usage has expanded to other high-value use cases, such as, they have it tied with SAP extended ECM to manage, business workspaces for their equipment and their work orders in their operation. Plus, they're focused very much on decommissioning their legacy shared drives and just migrating all that content to extended ECM. Is their other, again, their major use case that's going. And it's in, like a lot of folks, it's an ongoing effort that started, in their case, in an on-prem environment and continues today in the OT cloud. Like many migrations, these projects tend to take time and involve various knowledge workers in the process. And so using the Fastman Bulk Data Manager, the different Snowpod departments can participate and take responsibility for completing their work using, and they can use their own existing staff to do the job, is what they like. So there's no coding or scripting required with BDM. And as I previously mentioned, Snowpod started using BDM, and again, in their on-prem as they transition, and they can continue to use the same solution today after they transition to a cloud-based solution. And it's this continuity that's the important consideration when you're making these types of infrastructure changes. How can I work? I was working this way. How can I work when I move to, from an on-prem to a cloud system?
Brian, if I could jump in, one of the learnings we had from working with Snowpod on this one was that organizations don't have an endless schedule to do this stuff. You're under pressure from your business owners, your business managed users. You're under pressure from your budget owners. You're under pressure from everybody to get this done quickly. And the thing about BDM is that lets you do it quickly without loading up costs and resources to do it. So that's a really good case study. And there are plenty of others around, Brian, that have the same sort of benefits or outcomes. It's been a great product. That BDM's been a great product for us for a long time. Well proven. Sorry, I jumped in. I know you're moving to a demo, so.
No, you bought me some time. I do appreciate that.
Well, it wasn't intended that way, but it worked out, didn't it?
It helps. It definitely helps. So I actually have a load taxonomy started with BDM, and here's my friendly BDM client running right here. And the nice thing about that is I basically, what am I doing here? Let me come back here. I am going to lift and shift. I have some content in SharePoint. Where is it? It's right over here. Anyways, it's these folders right here. You see Burlington. These are basically folders in a SharePoint environment. And I want to bring that content into my, consolidate. I want to bring it in an extended ECM. And I want to drop it into basically my extended ECM for Salesforce, my business workspaces. So this is what my user view might be looking like, and so that's how they're going to get access to the content. If I was in,
remember, you're still logged in as contractor here, Brian.
Excuse me?
You're still logged in as contractor on this extended ECM environment.
Okay, let me.
Is that going to be okay?
Nope, good point. There we go. We're admin now. And so this is essentially the back end, you know. So here are the business workspaces, right? Here's Burlington Textiles. This is what it looks like inside of Extended ECM for SAP. And so what is the business use case is that, you know, I'm setting up these scenarios for people. I need to load the content in that they need to work with, right? So it was in one system, and now I'm consolidating to a new one. That's what load taxonomy is all about. Then with BDM, I've already picked up my content, or I've already picked my my source. I'm going to load it into a location within in right here. This is basically the folder structure within your extended ECM system. I want to assign it a category, let's say, some metadata. So as I'm loading the information, BDM helps me load the metadata. Just put it on one category, and these are contracts, let's say, that come in, or agreements that are coming in. And I also want to apply records management from my policy too. So you can see maybe a little small here to pick from on the screen, but today I'll pick a records classification. So it works very nice. So I can see my folder structure right here. It's going to build it out. It's going to assign records management.
So Brian, it's going to put it into the accounts folder. Is that what you want?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool.
I have my records management stuff here. Yeah, if it doesn't work, I'll have to go back and fix it again, Alistair. But I'll finish right here. And so it's going to start running its job right here. You can see it's loading the content in as we speak right now, coming in nicely.
Oh, yeah.
So that will be coming in momentarily. So we'll just wait for that to load in the background. The other thing, so the other scenario, while it's going to load those documents into these business workspaces nicely, we have a concept of process orchestration where we can manage a move of content, you know, from content that exists in Content Suite in folders or however, and we want to move that into a business workspace. So we can also do that through the manage move. So I'll come back to my root. Things are taking a little bit of time, so that's okay. Fastman products. Come into our bridge connector. And I have some source stuff. Let's say the scenario here is I have, let's see, what do I have here? I have payables. We could say accounts payable. And let's say I want to move this folder and its sub-content and its items to another location within the repository. I can start that process with my manage move. And I can pick a location I want to move it to. If I want to move it into those Salesforce folders,
Making our system work hard this morning, Brian.
I got a lot going on. We can put it in the billing documents, right? And we have a workflow to initiate the process, and we can start that off. So now it's on its journey. It's going to move it, and it's going to take it through its transformation steps. So if you had a group of people, people could collaborate on this approach to moving content around. And what it does also is give you, let me go back to the bridge connector. it gives me a dashboard to track where everything is in the process too.
And those of you familiar with web reports will know that this is a web report, and that's fine. We don't need to build a new piece of functionality here. We just need to use the tools that are available inside Extended ECM or Content Suite.
You can see
in this particular use case.
And you can see right here for AP demo, I started it right now. It's going to go. So the whole idea of this is it's not just moving things in the folders. It's there's usually a transformation that needs to occur. And so if you need to orchestrate a process to transform your content, this tool will help you move the content and transform it, meaning you may need to update the metadata on it. You may need to update the permissions on it. And then how do you track on that as you move in that content into your business workspaces? People have found this to simplify the task is what it comes from. So within these tools, you move into business workspaces, you can bring things in from outside sources, folder structures, SharePoint, bring them into your business workspaces, and then also have a tool to take existing content and transform it. That's what people like about Fastman Management Suite and the data transformation tools that we have going on. And if I was to come back to BDM, it loaded all that content in, and you can see you get an audit trail. It basically remembers the create and modify date, so you have your chain of custody covered here, and all this stuff would be moved into
into the right folders too, the right workspaces and the right folders, Brian.
That's the key. That's a good point. So it takes a little bit for this to load, but that's the beauty of the solutions working together. I think I'll pause at this point, Alistair, the demos in this point, and we can just kind of close it out. If there's any, if there's any questions in the chat, we could take some questions here.
No, it's a good summary, Brian. You've done a really good cover. So the thing that, this BDM data transformation piece that Brian just showed, one of the things that we've found in the past is that people go into a process of trying to bring data into into Extended ECM or to Content Suite. And if they try and do everything in one go, it becomes too hard and too long. And we hear people all the time say, but I've got to apply metadata, I've got to structure it, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. But the bottom line primary requirement for them to bring it into a controlled system like enterprise, like Extended ECM, is to get it into a controlled environment. And you can use these tools to get it into a controlled environment and then configure it the way you want to configure it for the use cases or the business requirements. And one of the, time and time again, I've heard people say, we started a project and it's been going for 80 months and we're 30% through. Well, that's silly. That's crazy, because the person that actually asked you to do it in the first place wants to get that data or content into a controlled environment, and you might have a reason to have it there for other purposes like business processes, like Salesforce, like success factors, or like cleaning up your site sprawl in SharePoint. So these are the things that you can use these integrated products for, and that's why it's now called the Fastman Management Suite. Sorry, Brian, I get on a roll, you know me. And the really good thing about the Fastman products is you can see that they're built on experience. They're built on a history of doing these things with customers, and we have complementary offerings. So the Fastman managed services we're going to talk about in a month or so, about our service offerings, is an integral part of how we build the experience and knowledge to develop these with customers. So most of these come from customers that are that have had these problems over the 20 odd years that we've been in business. So they come from real experience. And if you want to talk about certain situations or use cases, 99% chance we've come across it before. And these products are built on those experiences. Sorry, Brian, I'll get off my high horse now and pass it back to you.
No, I think that was a very nice summary. I appreciate you adding that in. We were trying to just give you a small taste of everything. It's a very comprehensive suite, but it's just not. It's when it's great to have a good set of tools, right? So when you're running an extended ECM system, it's the same thing. That's what the management suite brings to the table. There's a little bit of goodness in all those different products that we have that you can use at different times in the life cycle of the system that you're running. And that's all I have for you today, for everyone for today. And I guess if any questions, feel you know how to reach us at Fastman. We're always here, quick to respond, and schedule a meeting to talk about any challenges you may be facing with your extended ECM system.
Thank you, Brian. Very good.
All right,
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great day now, everyone. Bye for now.